This is Sybert signing into Red Alert 3 on the map Battle Base Beta, and we have Proffloff going to be spawning as the Cyan Empire on the left side, and his opponent is going to be QueenOni as the Green Empire in the top right side, and this is going to be some degree of a random mirror, as Proffloff and QueenOni both are Empire players by default, but I believe to try to avoid as best as possible the outcome of simply finals being EVE all day, QueenOni did in fact play random, but in the end it was a mirror matchup anyways. And as I did say, finals, this is the championship finals of the For the Win number 17 tournament that was hosted by Rageofheat. Big shout out to that guy for being super awesome and making some tournaments to try to keep the Red Alert 3 scene alive at least a little bit more than it already is. And of course, these two players, I have no idea how they've been playing lately, but they are both very strong Empire players. But we'll have to see which one of these players is going to be coming out ahead in this best of 5 series. So Proffloff going to be leading with a little bit more of a standard opener. As you probably did notice, QueenOni went for a very fast third. That is the immediate third, pretty much as fast as you can get it. But as a result, QueenOni could be taking some heavy losses. We'll have to see if the infantry is going to be doing any good. And remember, since it is a mirror matchup, every unit is very, very important. If you can get a single unit advantage over your opponent, it can, in some cases, make the difference. However, we'll have to see, because trading Imperial Warriors for Imperial Warriors, charging them into the building like that, can be a very good way to ensure that you're engaging just as effectively as you can. A very minor difference here between these two players is going to be that burst drone that's hopping onto that ore collector. A little bit of a delay there by QueenOni's before deploying that extra power plant. And there is going to be the Tengu, which is going to be actually nice burst drone micro there by QueenOni. Going to be able to keep that burst drone alive a little bit longer. I think overall this ore collector has been slowed down for a longer amount of time, but QueenOni able to clean up Proffloff's units in that building there, and Proffloff got those 3 Tengus out on the field. So we'll have to see, is there going to be any economic damage done? And I do believe the Mecha Bay, at least the Tengu production, was delayed at least a little bit more for QueenOni. And ooh, nice kill there by Proffloff, at least exploding that ore collector, forcing it off the line. Ooh, I don't know if that's really a good idea. Proffloff going to be going for the other harvester, although he is going to be exposing himself to the damage output of these Tengus. It looks like QueenOni is going to be going to try to trap these Tengus. Oh, 2 Tengus go down right there. That could definitely be making up for the fact of this ore collector did get taken out. 3 ore collectors now down. 3 ore collectors, I do mean Tengus. We do have a little bit of a counterattack here for Proffloff. He lost 3 Tengus, and QueenOni has not lost a single Tengu. And now it could just be the situation of, well, let's see here. I've got more Tengus than you, and we're both producing Tengus at the exact same rate since we both have 1 war factory. So, who's going to win when I've got 3 more Tengus? But we'll have to see. Proffloff can still take this game just because that last engagement favored QueenOni. Doesn't mean a whole lot just yet. We have 4 Tengus going to be engaging with 4 Tengus. Proffloff isn't going to be able to transform in time. He does lose 1, although down here QueenOni could be losing a Tengu themselves. Although no, QueenOni will be able to take down a couple of more Tengus of Proffloff, and 1 goes down for QueenOni. Not exactly sure who was able to come out ahead in that engagement. I may have actually mixed the names up there, but overall, fairly even between these two players. Economic damage done by Proffloff, while more units have been killed by QueenOni. So we'll have to see what these two players are going to be doing in terms of engagements. Who is going to be the aggressor? Who is going to be going for those counterattacks and harassments? Because if you keep all of your Tengus bunched up in one group, then you can, of course, win these straight-up battles. But if you're winning the straight-up battles and constantly losing ore collectors, it can end up working out. But we do have a total of 8 Tengus flying around the field for QueenOni. We have a total of 6 Tengus at least flying around. A couple more probably being produced. A couple of Tengus could be getting caught out here, as Tengus do fly exactly as fast as Tengus transform there by Proffloff. He's going to be forcing QueenOni to split his forces. If QueenOni wants to get the kill, he could transform directly on top of that Tengu. Another kill for QueenOni means that this could be a relatively fast match. We'll have to see if the 2 Tengus over here are going to be able to even up the economic game. Yes, they are going to be able to take down that harvester. They're doing a little bit of damage to that refinery, but QueenOni will be able to take this down. He needs to make sure that he doesn't throw any Tengus away, and he stays on top of those transforms. Exactly what he's doing. He's waiting for the rest of his Tengus to arrive so that he can very easily overwhelm Proffloff. QueenOni is playing extremely smart right here. He's playing a little bit defensive. He's not like, hey, I'm going to try to engage and draw damage off of that refinery as quickly as possible. Proffloff, this is not the situation that he wants to be in that sort of situation where you're basically surrounded. You're going to lose those units. The only thing that you can really do is try to turn around, and then at the very least, you're forcing units back to the war factory to get repairs, or alternately, you're forcing units to die a little bit quicker in the next engagement if they do not get any repairs. Could have actually used the special ability of the tsunami tanks to get through that section a little bit faster, but also, more importantly, he would not have taken as much damage. Proffloff going to be going for a little bit of a big attack, and it's as big of an attack as Proffloff can manage in the current economic situation that he is in, where he's on that 2 refinery versus the 3 refinery of QueenOni. QueenOni was able to survive past the first couple of minutes, which means that third base, even though he has lost a couple of ore collectors, is going to be paying off in a big way. We'll have to see Proffloff. Can he actually contain QueenOni with these 2 tsunami tanks and 3 Tengus? He's dropped down point defense drones, but QueenOni should have that exact same upgrade, as they are going to be earning points at a relatively similar rate. There is the Chopper VX, there's the Transform, and the Tengus are here to cover the Chopper VX. The Chopper VX does get sniped, but 3 Tengus will get taken down there. The 2 tsunamis are still alive. They haven't taken too much hull damage, a little bit of damage to the point defense drones, but they might be able to actually take down this Mecha Bay. And note, one more Chopper VX should be able to finish. It comes out right there, and he will not be getting killed. It will transform, and that may very well be it for Proffloff. QueenOni, I think, will be able to take game number 1, and those Chopper VXs were oh so crucial. Proffloff going to be able to maybe escape with 1 tsunami. QueenOni is going to be giving chase, and this is the point where that tsunami tank is going to be going down. I think at this point it's just too many units. Proffloff had a couple of engagements there where he could have possibly brought it back, but ever since really the beginning, 3 refineries following it up with 3 Tengu kills for QueenOni. That was just a little lead that over the course of the next, 5-6 minutes of this match, it's just added up to be quite a bit. Going to be selling off the war factory, which will be slowing production, especially since currently there's no production structures for QueenOni. So I guess potentially Waff the Wolf could still hold this attack. It's going to be nearly impossible just in the sheer units number. There's so many Tengus followed up with Chopper VXs as well. It's going to make this extremely hard to hold for Proffloff, despite it just compounded by the fact, rather, that Proffloff does have units on the north side of the map completely cut off and split. As you can see, Proffloff may actually be able to take down a couple of Tengus here, even up the economic game by continually taking out harvesters. But as you can see, now QueenOni is like, oh, hey, actually there's more than just that one single Tengu. However, with the damage done by that ore collector, oh, actually a pretty good counterattack here by Proffloff. He's going to be able to do a fair amount of damage. Will he be able to save all of these Tengus? We'll have to see. His micro is on point for dodging that MCV, but ultimately you can't dodge both an MCV and a ton of Tengus. A couple of Striker VX is going to be getting on this action. Both of the Tengus do get taken out there, as does the ore collector. However, oh, there goes one Tengu smashing down onto those walls. Not a big deal. However, these 2 Striker VXs could be sniped down. However, Proffloff has desperately been trying to snipe down those Chopper VXs, and it just simply is not working. Oil Derrick rather did get taken out there by QueenOni, so big props to QueenOni playing this game out very well. So QueenOni has been in the lead for the majority of this game, and then instead of just being like, okay, well, I'm in the lead, so I'm going to go ahead and attack and just throw units away because I can, which we have seen players do that in the past. They've been in the lead, and then they're like, I'm in the lead, I'm okay, I can do this, and then they throw units away, and then 10 minutes later, the game is still going on. And instead of having maybe a great win, you just sort of have a meh win, where it's like you made some mistakes, you threw some units away. QueenOni is not doing that, commanding a solid lead in this game and deflecting pretty much every attack that comes at him. Granted, there have been some losses by both sides, but ultimately QueenOni is the one in the much better position, especially because there's no third base for Proffloff. So that is definitely going to be a big troubling factor for Proffloff. Going to be forced to pack up the MCV to try to deal with that Tengu. However, as harvesters are going down, this has got to be it for Proffloff. I can't imagine that Proffloff is going to be trying to still stay in this game. I mean, you got to hand it to him for not giving up too early. He does still have somewhat of an army. But, ooh, actually could be running directly into that MCV. One of the Chopper VXs will go down, rather Strikers. However, it's a game of time at this point. These, as good as the micro from Proffloff is, he just simply cannot run away forever from Tengus and VXs. That's it. Proffloff has been defeated, of course, going to be smurfing as Chip It Over. That is his current smurf Proffloff going to be losing game number 1. There's still at least 2 more games in this series. Likely we will see game 4, if not game 5, between these two players. Proffloff playing well in that game, but ultimately QueenOni with that 3 refinery opener, it was just too much over the course of the game. And although, I mean, you gotta hand it to Proffloff, he did a very good job of staying on top of the harassment, a lot more than other players may have done in a similar situation, just because they're like, well, you know, I'm not quite on top of the Tengu production, I've lost some Tengus, so I don't want to necessarily go for the harassment, because then I'll have a weaker main army. But Proffloff was like, hey, you know what? This is my chance to stay in this game. It didn't work out. Of course, Spheri's ownage is going to be QueenOni. Both of these players smurfing. But let's head into game number 2, which is on Industrial Strength, a map that we do not see very often. Proffloff is going to be the Cyan Empire in the bottom left side once again. And of course, as the green, but now Soviets, it is going to be QueenOni going for a dual racks opener. Of course, one barracks will be an engineer for that oil derrick. Why would you not want to get an oil derrick if you at all can? We'll have to see, is either one of these players going to be able to secure one or both of these oil derricks, as I feel like we see more engineer snipes on this map than just about any other map. And eventually, it's typically like a delayed engineer. A lot of players do like to go for the dual racks opening and flood the map with infantry. There's lots of garrisons that they can grab, and of course, bears to try to cut off any sort of early infantry. But as I mentioned in the previous game, QueenOni is going to be trading. Ooh, that is not a good trade for Proffloff, rather. QueenOni is actually going to be playing random, ending up as those Soviets. I believe QueenOni was playing random for all of the finals, but I don't know for sure. But we will see in the next matches that are coming up. However, sniping down a couple of those Imperial Warriors. Of course, anytime you're throwing Imperial Warriors into a building to clear out conscripts, you're going to be engaging ineffectively. But it looks like QueenOni is actually going to be going for this oil derrick over there. There's the engineer heading in there, and there's really no way for Proffloff to stop that. So QueenOni going to be getting a very minor economic lead there, as both of these players going to be going for their dual refineries. And then after that, we do have the Mecha Bay and the War Factory most likely going to be added on here. Proffloff not adding it on just yet. We'll have to see exactly what he's deciding to do. However, we do have the War Factory before Super Reactor, so no super fast Twin Blades or anything like that just yet. We should be seeing, yep, there is going to be the Super Reactor, and could be deciding to get out a couple of sickles. We have a lot of infantry, so that's exactly what Proffloff is going to be going for. However, of course, conscripts going to be great unit, cheaper than the Imperial Warrior, and of course, they don't have to trade their lives to clear out buildings, so that's going to be favoring QueenOni just a little bit there. Not a huge amount, but snipe on the engineer cannot feel good for Proffloff. Now Proffloff getting his getting his dojo camped a little bit there by that Terror Drone. Never mind, QueenOni going to be pulling it back. He didn't want to lose it, which is a good move. Don't want to lose it to the Imperial Warriors in that situation. I mean, throwing away a Terror Drone when you can possibly be harassing expansions with it later. It does look like Proffloff was able to grab one of those refineries. But again, Proffloff is just throwing away money just about. QueenOni could just spend the entire game simply making conscripts and putting them in buildings if Proffloff is going to be throwing his Imperial Warriors into buildings, and that is going to be favoring QueenOni in the end. However, Terror Drone could be getting the snipe on one of these harvesters, although I doubt it will at all, simply because of how close the proximity is to that War Factory. QueenOni going to be staying on top of that, and almost getting the freeze. Yes, he will get the freeze on that Tango. No, not enough time to transform, which means Proffloff is going to have to be bringing an additional harvester off the line, or rather, a harvester off the line in additional time to deal with that Tengu. We'll have to see, is the micro going to be good enough? I think QueenOni can just be able to escape with the Terror Drone by itself, heading out onto the water to make sure that he doesn't get caught by any of the Imperial Warriors, as Proffloff was likely going to be trying to cut off that Terror Drone. Of course, Terror Drone's super annoying. QueenOni going to be grabbing the garage as well, which means free vehicle repairs. We do have hammer tanks on the way. Is it going to be airfield before expansion? Or rather, we should be seeing a third refinery on the field sometime soon for QueenOni if he wants to continue to produce those hammer tanks. Although with the heavy damage of the hammer tanks, another engineer. We'll have to see if this one will actually be getting sniped down. It maybe will be getting sniped down, which is an additional 500 credits lost there by Proffloff. Just really minor engagements like this that are actually maybe beginning to add up, as we did see quite a delay on the Mecha Bay timing in coordination with the War Factory, rather, in comparison to the War Factory was up much quicker, and now we have heavy armor. The tier 2 is up for QueenOni. We do not have quite yet any tsunami tanks to contend this. So Proffloff is going to need some really, really great engagements. He's going to need a lot of Harvester snipes. And, ooh, one Tengu. This is not what you want in this situation when you've got hammer tanks knocking on your door, when you're having to pull around your MCB to kill stuff off. Which you gotta hand it to QueenOni, keeping his units moving, keeping them outside of that range of that, MCB. And the Tengus have now cleaned up that Terror Drone, but they're not back here doing any damage. One Harvester has been pulled off the L line, the other one is not actually alive, and the Bullfrog is just going to be chilling over here, which they might get sniped down there. But as you can see, there's 2 Tengus on the map. They're not doing anything. One good crush by Proffloff, going to be evening this up a whole lot, as now these 2 Tsunami tanks will definitely be able to chase away these units. But just think, there could be a couple of dead Bullfrogs instead of these 2 Tengus over here. So Proffloff with a very minor mistake, forgetting about those Tengus, but it's of course very easy to say that when you're not the one who has to keep track of all of these units, because anyone who plays basically any game ever, well, any RTS ever, I mean, in an FPS, it's pretty easy to keep track of all of your units because you're one guy, but anyone who plays an RTS knows how difficult it is to actually keep track of all of your units. But as a result, we have 3 hammer tanks now on the field, in combination with this single Terror Drone could really end up being a big deal. Proffloff is going to be activating that ability, which will allow his Tsunami tanks to survive a little bit longer, but more importantly, it allows them to do absolutely no damage and simply take damage from the hammer tanks, which is always a tough call to make. It's like, do I want to take less damage and possibly engage effectively at a later time and possibly delay my opponent so I can get out some tank busters, or do I want to just do straight up damage? But as you can see, overwhelming forces from QueenOni may actually be making game number 2 relatively short, not super short, but Proffloff going to be staying on top. Oh, he did, yeah, he was able to get that tank buster into the ground. Not going to be losing any tank busters to crushing, despite the fact that QueenOni's hammer tanks were directly on top of that. Oh, good micro for a moment there by Proffloff. I thought he was going to be able to keep those tank busters alive like very few players can, when you've got 4 hammer tanks constantly trying to run you over, it's very hard to keep your tank busters alive. But the harassment didn't go too well, of course. That adaptive armor on the ore collectors being very, very useful for QueenOni, and that will do it. A relatively quick game number 2, but overall, just constant money from QueenOni in terms of moves there. He was playing really quite well. Proffloff not playing as well in that game. However, Proffloff he didn't play necessarily super poorly. It's just that QueenOni played a little bit better, and overall, I think the hammer tanks really were a huge deciding factor there, getting out that War Factory sooner, and then of course the tier 2 sooner than Proffloff. I almost said QueenOni, but QueenOni got out that tech sooner, and of course that will do it for game 2. Game 3 is coming right up, which is on Cabana Republic, and it will be featuring, once again, playing as Empire. We do have QueenOni, and of course going to be as the Cyan Empire. On the right side, we do have Proffloff. So Proffloff going to be up against the ropes. It's 1 game left, possibly before a 3-0 sweep. But Proffloff has been playing relatively well. He's maybe not been playing at his best, but ultimately he still definitely can take a game off of QueenOni. We'll have to see. QueenOni, a very terrifying Empire player, once again going to be going for 3 refinery opener, which has worked out well for QueenOni in that first game. So we'll have to see Proffloff going for double dojo, and he is going to be going to look to secure that early oil derrick, which he probably will get it a little bit quicker than QueenOni, but QueenOni did go actually double dojo as well. So we'll have to see which one of these players will end up making it work, because of course QueenOni is going to have less money in the first 3 to 4 minutes, but as that refinery kicks in, and he's going to be able to out macro the Proffloff's Empire, and of course he will have a little bit faster of a mecha bay, that is Proffloff will, and be able to get out units a little bit quicker. But you really do have to take close watch of that, like, I don't know exactly how long the window is, but that like 2 to 3 minute mark where you are going to have the advantage of simply having more starting cash. So we'll have to see the Tengu numbers and the Tengu control. Is it going to be good enough to take down QueenOni? Because after that, it's like, hey, you're on 3 base, I'm on 2. And it doesn't take exactly a mathematician to figure out how that game is going to be going. Proffloff going to be running away with that Imperial Warrior. However, he will be getting his first Tengu out. I think he did snipe down a burst drone there. So this game is going to be getting underway immediately. Of course, Tengu is going to be the unit of choice for any Empire player, but we should have the first Tengu popping out relatively soon for QueenOni, and that will mean that as long as QueenOni stays around this war factory, stays around those repair drones, he will be able to engage and defend relatively well. We do have, yeah, exactly that early third, which, oh, nice walls there by QueenOni, going to be hemming in that Tengu, but now another Tengu has to be dealt with, and this time there is a Tengu for QueenOni to deal with that. A second Tengu being added on as well, so now with the Ore Collector being mixed in as well, and already the damage being done, Proffloff might just want to turn that around. He loses the Tengu anyway, doesn't get any damage off for himself. He's going to be forced to transform and run away, but at the same time, he wants to stay here as long as possible to make sure that he's got these walls, or that he's got this Ore Collector offline as long as possible. Once again, a transform by QueenOni, or Proffloff. QueenOni has already transformed, which means that Proffloff desperately needs to do more economic damage. He needs to make sure that he's... Oh, actually, no, he's going to be chasing away that Tengu, so Proffloff not actually going to be able to get any kills. 3 Tengu sitting back at home, another Tengu snipe there by QueenOni, and Proffloff once again not able to engage as effectively as he would like. We'll have to see this. No, QueenOni not going to be able to claim an additional Tengu. However, in the middle, these two players are going to be fighting back and forth. QueenOni was able to grab the oil derrick of Proffloff, which means QueenOni is definitely going to be at an economic advantage, and at that point, it's just a little bit of a unit mass race. It's mass Tengu versus mass Tengu, and Proffloff could be getting some really good engagements here. He's got a little bit of a flank, which means he could be doing some serious damage. However, it looks like these two players are going to be throwing their units on top of each other, trying to disrupt the firing pattern of the other player. Proffloff going to be chasing away QueenOni, and this is a serious mass of Tengus. Proffloff may be taking this game at around the 5-minute mark if he can simply overwhelm and destroy QueenOni, and now QueenOni is going to be the one possibly losing a Tengu. No, it does look like it will escape if he can get back to the war factory and back to the friendly arms of those other Tengus, which will be able to fight off Proffloff a little bit better there. However, QueenOni going to be heading north, and QueenOni might be getting a better engagement here, as Proffloff wasn't able to really capitalize on the better engagement that he had. Good micro there by Proffloff, going to be saving one of the Tengus, but the other ones are going to be getting focused down relatively quickly. All of the Tengus do get taken out there, except for the one that did escape, and it's hardly alive at all. It barely even counts as being a live Tengu. Proffloff going to be able to try to take down these oil derricks, but will it actually be enough? Because he just lost about 2 more Tengus, maybe even 3 or 4 more now than QueenOni lost. So QueenOni was actually able to, in that last engagement, do a pretty fair job, and now with this 3 refinery, 2 oil derrick really kicking in, because currently we have 3 ore collectors collecting, which is probably just about the first time in this game. Not technically, but just about, just because of how on top of the harassment Proffloff has been throughout this match. Once again, Proffloff forcing these ore collectors off the line, even if he's not killing it. Right now, they have the exact same income. Oh, no, never mind. This oil derrick did not get taken out, so never mind. They do not have the same income, but it's a little bit closer now. And once again, driving on top of that ore collector, it's almost better just to sacrifice the ore collector, because in a couple of minutes of time, the health difference and the slow difference would have actually been made up for in the extra resource collection of rebuilding an ore collector. Once again, Proffloff going to be losing a single Tengu at a time. So he's not necessarily losing huge battles, but at this point, I'm almost wanting to say that QueenOni is going to have a strong enough army to engage straight up. We've got 2, 4, and I think 6 Tengus total on the field for Proffloff. We have 6 right there, an additional 5. We have 11 Tengus just in this frontal attack. We have another Tengu back here. So as you can see, QueenOni has just got the critical mass. He's definitely going to be able to do a ton of damage here. There goes point defense drones, which means the MCV is going to be able to do possibly a lot of damage. But as you can see, QueenOni is like, no, I just need to snipe that harvester, and then I'll run out onto the water where, hey, I can snipe a power plant if I want. I can harass this mecha bay a little bit from the water if I want. Proffloff going to be transforming. That is really his only course. We could actually be seeing a little bit of a base race. No, QueenOni is actually going to be getting out of there. Proffloff hasn't actually started rebuilding that harvester, which can be a very dangerous thing. Of course, you don't want to rebuild it when there's Tengu sitting right there, and then as soon as it pops out, it immediately gets sniped again, but you want to have it ready so that as soon as the Tengus are gone, you get that harvester up and going as quickly as possible. Proffloff going for that counterattack. We'll be able to snipe down one harvester for sure. Going to be trading a Tengu for it, which is going to be, of course, favoring Proffloff a little bit there in that this particular engagement. But overall, as you can see, these Tengus are going to be getting focused down a little bit there. Good transform by Proffloff, going to be able to escape without too many losses. Lost one of those Tengus, which will be favoring him because, of course, it does cost more to rebuild that ore collector than it cost you to make that Tengu. However, you also lose mining time, but QueenOni can't afford to lose a little bit of mining time when he's engaging more efficiently, when he had 2 oil derricks, and when he's on those 3 refineries. Proffloff really does not have the economic means to match up with QueenOni, especially having to rebuild that generator is once again going to be putting Proffloff a little bit behind, but we'll have to see. These engagements could be absolutely spectacular. Splits up the Tengus, which I guess means that 3 of them will survive. No, Proffloff is actually going to be pulling his Tengus back. He's actually, or QueenOni rather, is going to be pulling his Tengus back. He could just be going for a, hey, I'm going to leave a couple of Tengus here to be able to contend your Tengus, but in the meantime, I'm going to be shooting up your entire base. Good transform there by QueenOni. Almost a perfect transform there by QueenOni. Going to be able to take down the Tengu in the sky and possibly a Tengu on the ground. It loses a Tengu though. But again, minor victories here for Proffloff. In the big run of things, we have a huge amount of Tengus, a huge advantage, which, I mean, never mind. There is actually going to be the tech up right there for QueenOni. Snipes down an additional Tengu, and now here comes the big transform directly on top of this Tengu, most likely. Nope, never mind. The transform was in that Chopper VX. QueenOni doesn't actually need to transform to save that ore collector and to take out that Tengu, as the Tengu gets taken out right there. And at the same time, Proffloff will be able to snipe down 1 harvester, which is definitely good news for Proffloff. He's been doing such a good job of taking down those harvesters, but in this particular game, the 2 oil derricks definitely added up, and all of that extra time that QueenOni has had 3 harvesters that Proffloff has only had 2 has been adding up in a big way. Of course, 2 ending up with these 2 players of QueenOni ending up with Random Empire and making this a mirror matchup where every unit is so important. And now we're likely going to be seeing a big transform by QueenOni. No, QueenOni is actually going to be running away. QueenOni playing safe every single game. QueenOni has just been playing oh so safe in every game, is what I wanted to say. And he's like, all right, I'm in the lead, I'm getting a little bit ahead, but I'm not gonna throw that away. I'm going to be getting in such a commanding lead that there's basically no purpose in this game going on any longer, which of course forces Proffloff to go, okay, how do I engage effectively? And Proffloff has to either do something risky or he has to try to get the perfect engagement. And as soon as he does something risky, QueenOni is of course going to be there and saying, okay, maybe I didn't completely crush that attack, but I was able to do a bit more damage, which is just putting me further and further in the lead. So QueenOni playing quite well. Proffloff playing well, but not as well. And in the end, that 3 refinery start is just going to be too strong. Proffloff is going to have to do something absolutely incredible to take this game from QueenOni. As you can see, it's very easy to see just on the minimap, just in the unit numbers. A single Tengu heading around north, while 3 Tengus are heading around south. But this should be very easily defended by QueenOni. He's got more than enough units to split his army and cover both approaches. Already has 3 Tengus in the north side. Going to be sending a couple of Tengus all the way to, actually, a couple of Striker VXs could get chopped down here, but they might be able to just transform directly on top of those Tengus. And once again, the Tengus did transform, but now Proffloff will be sniping down 1 of the Chopper VXs, but an additional Chopper VX does show up to do a little bit of damage. But more importantly, these Tengus, without the Emperor's Rage, are going to be able to definitely take down the Tengus of Proffloff, who does have that Emperor's Rage, making his Tengus move that much more slowly, doing more damage. But it doesn't even matter that he can do more damage because he simply isn't doing any damage, which is a little bit of a problem for him. He does have a fair mass of Tengus. He might actually be able to engage effectively enough with an MCV to hold off the next big attack from QueenOni, assuming there is a next big attack. Of course, QueenOni can just sit in his base and say, I can sit on 3 ref and mass more and more units all day if you want to play that game, because I can harass a lot more easily than you, and go ahead and QueenOni can break off a bigger chunk of his army to harass a base and still be able to take a full-on frontal attack from Proffloff. So Proffloff is going to be able to either A, engage extremely efficiently. I am not pronouncing words at all today. I do not know why, but he's either A, not going to be able to engage extremely efficiently, he's going to be forced to engage extremely efficiently, or B, he has to wait for QueenOni to make a big blunder, which so far in these games, QueenOni has been playing pretty much top-notch for EVE. And the Striker VX and the Striker and Tengu combo is, of course, pretty much the best thing that you can get. You've got anti-air and anti-ground, and then, of course, you just transform them both at the same time, and you've got anti-air and anti-ground once again. He's going to be dropping all of his units, reapplying point defense drones, which is, of course, something that you should do 4 to 5 times per game, depending on how long the game does go on. But, of course, consult your doctor if any sort of a rash or irregularities do appear. Of course, point defense drones is still a testing product, so, you know, if it kills you, that is your own fault. However, we are going to be using the perfect use of the Emperor's Rage is right in these straight-up engagements, but there are no repairs for Proffloff, and there's also no MCB, which means straight-up units, which I can't actually tell whose units are whose units. It's just mass amounts of destruction. I think overall, because Proffloff did have fewer units, he's going to be getting the worst end of this deal, and QueenOni was also throwing down that Emperor's Rage a little bit sooner, but right there, the big deciding battle where Proffloff has been defeated, a 3-0 sweep for QueenOni, going to be taking the finals of the championship finals, rather, of the For the Win number 17 tournament. So big congratulations to QueenOni, really commanding those 3 games and taking the series overall. Of course, a big thanks to Rageofheat. I almost couldn't remember his name there, but Rageofheat, a big thanks to him for conducting this tournament and running it from basically start to end. And then, of course, congratulations to Proffloff, making it through the finals, through the loser's bracket, at least part of the way. I think, I'm not entirely sure if he was in the winner's bracket finals and then got knocked down, but at some point he had to make it through the loser's bracket and then ended up facing QueenOni, and that was a solid series. Well played by both of these players, but in the end, QueenOni was able to take it. And if QueenOni would have played a little bit more risky and maybe a little bit less and wouldn't have controlled as well, we could have seen a very, very different series. But in the end, Proffloff was doing as much as he could in those situations. But it's always easy to say, oh, this is what's better to do in that situation, but it's hard to actually make the right call in the game. But that will do it for this series. Overall, about 8,000 credits, which is about 10 more Tengus to the credit of QueenOni. So overall, that is what that game boiled down to. Just better engagements by QueenOni and not making mistakes. Proffloff was forced into those situations where he had to send a couple of units here and there. And it was basically a repeat of game number 1. But that'll do it for this game. This is Sybert signing out.